Did you hear this yet? India's biggest IT companies, Infosys, TCS, Wipro, are quietly walking away from the business model that actually made them giants. For decades, these companies were built by the hour. The longer the project took, the more they earned. Now, they are shifting to an outcome based billing model. With platforms like Infosys Topaz, TCS AI Wisdom Next, and Wipro AI 360, they are slowly moving themselves from being system integrators to service as software platforms. No, right? Don't worry. Most people haven't heard this yet. Here is why it's happening. AI agents like Claude, Copilot, and others like them can now write and deploy code in minutes. The same work that used to take a human developer hours and sometimes even days. That changes everything. If a machine can do the job in minutes, charging a client by the hour doesn't make sense anymore. So these companies are being pushed to transform from system integrators into something closer to an AI factory. And here is the uncomfortable part. This is not just happening to Infosys or TCS or Wipro for the matter. If a 250 billion USD industry, one that employs millions of people, is being forced to reinvent itself because of AI, it's not gonna stop there. It's coming for every single industry, maybe even your job. So stick with this video till the end, because by the time it's over, you won't just understand why IT service giants are shifting from system integrators to AI factories. You'll also understand what an AI factory actually is and why it's being called the next industrial revolution. And if you understand this shift accurately, you won't just be able to upskill yourself with the right skills. You might also choose your career a lot more consciously. Before we get into what an AI factory actually is, we need to understand one more term very clearly: system integrator. Because that's exactly what every Indian IT service company is. To understand it, you do not need to look very far. Just think about your home plumber. Every time they visit your house, what do they actually do? Do they manufacture the pipes, the wires, the motors? Not exactly. You already know the answer. They first understand your requirement, then they go to the market, source the right products, and integrate everything together in a way that fits your home. That's exactly what these IT service companies do. They understand what a client needs, they acquire the right technology from product based companies, and then they integrate all of it together to match the client's requirement. In short, they are simply the plumbers of the IT world. But now, something very important has changed. AI has started doing a part of the work that these system integrators were traditionally paid to do. Take something as simple as coding. Today, AI models like Claude can generate code, connect applications, and perform many of the tasks that earlier required a human person to manually write and integrate everything. Thus, instead of having 4 to 5 people working on something, you might have one experienced person who understands your requirement, gives the right instructions to AI, and gets much of the work done. This was relevant to plumbing as well. If earlier you needed 4 to 5 people to finish a job, but now one experienced plumber with better tools can do the same work in a few hours. The right question is, would you still pay him for 4 to 5 people's labor? Of course not. Unless you have something in your mind. You'd negotiate based on the value of the work rather than simply the number of hours or people involved. This is exactly the problem AI is creating for traditional IT services. When AI can produce the same outcome with fewer people and in less time, hourly billing starts losing its importance. So IT companies now need a different way to make money. Instead of saying, pay us for the people and hours we spend, they increasingly want to say, tell us the outcome you want and we will deliver it. The shift begins right here. Because now these companies are not just trying to become better system integrators, they are trying to become something much more powerful. An intelligence layer that can understand data, make decisions, and perform work on behalf of the client. If you have ever used AI, you might be thinking, well, isn't that already possible? Yes, For a simple task, it actually is. But imagine doing this inside a Fortune 500 company. Here, an AI cannot simply make a decision and move on. Every decision can have consequences. There are security requirements, compliance rules, data privacy regulations, internal policies, and hundreds of other checks that has to be followed before an action can actually be taken. Not only that, AI hallucinates. It can confidently give you an answer that sounds completely correct, but in fact is actually wrong. For a normal user, that's annoying. Just imagine for a bank or an insurance company or a Fortune 500 company handling sensitive data. That's a massive problem. So the question here becomes, how do you take AI, which can make mistakes, and turn it into something reliable enough to actually run a business process? This leads to the idea of an AI factory. Before I tell you more of that, let's imagine a normal manufacturing factory. Think about one. You put raw material inside, maybe iron ore or steel ore. The material then moves through an organized process. One worker performs one task, another performs the next. Somebody checks the quality, and step by step, that raw material is transformed into a finished product. Right? Everybody knows this, isn't it? An AI factory works on a very similar principle. But instead of iron ore or steel ore, the raw material is data. Instead of human workers performing every single step, you have different AI agents performing different tasks. Let's take a very simple and relevant example. A bank approving a loan. Imagine a person sends an email to the bank saying, I want to apply for a loan. That email is a raw material. Now it enters inside the AI factory. The first AI agent reads the email and understands what the customer is asking for. Then it passes that information to another agent. The second agent checks whether the customer is even eligible. The third agent analyzes the customer's financial information and assesses the risk involved. The fourth agent checks whether the application follows the bank's compliance rules. And finally, another agent takes all of this information together and determines what loan amount and interest rate should be offered. So instead of one AI trying to do everything possible, you have a whole chain of specialized AI agents, each responsible for one specific job. As these agents are connected to the company's data, systems, security controls, and business rules, the entire process can happen much faster and in a controlled way. A human team might actually take days to complete the entire process. An AI-powered system could potentially do much of it in minutes. This is the direction in which large IT companies are trying to move. But there is one important thing we haven't spoken about yet. If you want thousands of these AI agents to work reliably inside a large company, where do you actually run them? You require enormous computing power. You need high-end processors and GPUs. You need data centers, you need electricity and cooling. You need data to train and operate these AI systems. And most importantly, you need software that can coordinate all of these different AI agents and make sure they follow the right sequence, they access the right information, and operate within the company's security and compliance rules. Put all of that together and you get what we call an AI factory. It's essentially the infrastructure and operating system for turning raw data and computing power into useful intelligence and business outcomes. That's why NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang compares the AI era to the Industrial Revolution. In the Industrial Revolution, raw materials went into factories and useful products came out. In this new revolution, data and electricity go in and intelligence comes out. Once you look at AI from this perspective, you can understand why this shift is so important. Because this is not simply about ChatGPT writing an email or Claude writing some code. The bigger change is that entire business processes can now be transformed into AI-powered factories. Where data enters, specialized AI performs the work, and the business outcome comes out the other side. One of the many reasons why we should care about this matter. Because whether we like it or not, the way companies work is changing. And when the way companies work change, the skills they require from these people would change as well. So if you understand where this is going, you can consciously start building the skills that this new world will demand. Because the goal isn't to compete with AI, it's to understand where AI is taking the work and position yourself there even before it arrives.